What's going on, guys? Welcome to an episode of Capes on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me, we've got Teresa.
Howdy, howdy.
And today, we're doing a pretty low-key episode. We've got some reviews for She-Hulk, Werewolf by Night, and of course, the big marquee title, Black Adam. But before we get there, there is actually a little bit of news to cover. So earlier this week, Marvel put out trailers for both Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Teresa, did you get a chance to watch any of these?
I did watch the Guardians of the Galaxy and it looks very kooky. And Ant-Man, I also watched the trailers. Amazing.
Um, I it's weird to say that I'm slightly more excited for the holiday special than for
Back to the movie.
yeah than for the actual movie. But to be fair, I am genuinely excited to see Jonathan Majors
Yes,
debut as Kang in all of his glory.
yes. More Kang, please. Even though I know he's the bad guy, I'm like, I love it. More of it, please. But no, I thought Ant-Man was like pretty solid. I was like, I'm hooked, and we got a special guest, and now hopefully more people will watch. Because I feel like Ant-Man, I've always felt like you don't necessarily need to know all the other stuff one. This one a little bit more. But I've like watched like Ant-Man 2 with my mom, and she doesn't know what's going on. But she's like, that was fun. It was nice. He gets big. It's not complicated. He can get small. But I'm looking forward to that. And I like the last Guardians of the Galaxy, but I also was like, do we need more? But seeing the special, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Give me something light, especially with Werewolf by Night having a special presentation. I kind of like this format.
Yeah, it's great that it allows Marvel to experiment more with storytelling. Like they can tell stories that are not not necessarily um like grand enough for the big screen, but also um not those that require 6+ hours to tell the whole story. They can
Yes.
they can they can tell shorter stories, but have um more creative control
I
with
hope so.
yeah depending
This
on
is what it
who's
looks like.
behind the camera.
So I felt like we'll go like Moon Knight for something. I mean, that wasn't a special presentation, but it was more like limited series. And I feel like even more compressed and special presentation, you can just go like it seems like they're going wild. And you can get, I feel also in terms of scheduling, you could probably get people committed for like one thing that's like an hour versus like six things that are an hour. Like I feel like people's schedules are very busy. So we get some fun people in there.
Plus it probably will be less expensive to do
Oh, I
um
hope
yeah
probably.
to do stuff in shorter bursts, as opposed to how much they must be spending on like all of these different movies and shows. Like we've come a long way from um like the one or two movies per year.
I don't I am fine with more TV, less movies. Although some people are complaining about Marvel fatigue. I'm not one of those people. But I feel like it's more um like I like just like exploring more of the world. And when it's not in the movie format, I feel like you can kind of dip in one series, come back to another, watch it, at your leisure. And I feel like you can get enjoyable. And then I also like just the TV format, just like something to look forward to each week. It's always nice because I love the movie, and but then it's kind of done for a while. There's nothing next week. There's no more Black Adam, potentially for many years.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about the weekly model that Disney Plus does, where for 9 weeks straight we had people talking about um shows like She-Hulk and
Miss
Moon
Marvel.
Knight, Miss Marvel. It's
That's great.
Yeah, it's done wonders for um you know driving traffic and
Oh yes,
all of the discussions.
for sure.
um one more piece of news before we get to our main topics. It was just announced today, as of this recording, um that DC Studios has a new pair of heads. It's being run by James Gunn and Peter Safran. Their contract is allegedly um, lasting for 4 years, but they will be the new creative heads of DC Studios, formerly known as DC Films. So, what do you think about this new direction for the studio?
I'm. It makes sense, um, to have Gunn because he's committed. It's very much like you need someone who gets fans and what people want. I feel like a lot of times we're complaining, there's people in charge and they don't actually understand how movies are made and they don't understand comics and they don't understand this. So I think it's a very smart move. I really want to know what Disney had to say today. They had very strong opinions. But as one of my friends said, they kind of ruined it for themselves. So DC is reaping the benefits. So I thought that's pretty funny. And he likes to work, so I think it all works out.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is almost a no brainer if you know if you've kind of paid attention to um the relationship that James Gunn has kind of built with Warner Brothers. And even though the Suicide Squad didn't exactly break the bank, it's still critically one of their best films. And while I still haven't gotten around to actually seeing it, Peacemaker was a big hit for HBO Max. So clearly they see something in him that they want to continue working with him. And um, Warner Brothers says they wanted a Kevin Feige to run the studio, and I think James Gunn kind of fits that mold perfectly, in that he's a he's basically an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to these DC characters. And Peter Safran has been like a very prolific producer. He's he's worked with James Wan throughout the Conjuring franchise, and he's worked with James Gunn on a couple
Mhm.
of other projects, particularly the Belko experiment from 2016. So I'm sure will they will work together quite nicely. And it's really good to see that, after everything we've heard about Warner Discovery, all of the layoffs and all these projects getting canceled, that we're actually starting to see what David Zaslav can do um, to build his new empire. So
Yeah,
that's pretty exciting.
see how it goes.
Yeah, there is just as good a chance that this will be a rousing success as it is an extreme
I,
failure.
I
But
feel like they have nothing to lose, to be honest. At DC, and Peacemaker did really well, so I think it makes perfect sense. I'm curious to know what deal they like, how long they've got him for. Um,
it's supposed to be at least 4 years, but
okay.
that can always change.
I mean, it can always change, but they usually, especially if you like running something, unless you're doing a terrible job, it's kind of hard to get out of in contract.
That's true.
It's
Uh,
always easy to get rid of people if they don't want them.
oh yeah. So with that out of the way, now we can move on to our first show, She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Now, Brock and I have already gone through each episode individually on our series, Marvel After the Credits. Teresa, I'm going to start with you. Your overall thoughts on the series?
Um, I thought it was great. I'm a fan of a legal drama that has, it can make fun of itself. So like on the surface, like I was pretty excited, but I also love Tatiana Maslany, and I thought she was a perfect She-Hulk. I thought she really nailed the loneliness of Jen, the drivenness of being a lawyer. Like, most I'm not saying I'm a fan of lawyers, but like her, Daredevil, I'm like, some lawyers can do some good. I like them. And obviously them together. Um, blew my mind. It's amazing. They finally show some people getting it on. The realities of dating. It really commented on the culture. And it was pretty, self-contained. It was really all about, because it was like not her learning about her powers for very much. It was really learning how to balance her life with her powers. And I thought that was very interesting because a lot of like Miss Marvel was really like, I don't know if I have powers, and like figuring out the history behind it. And with Hulk, it's like, oh, I'm just Hulk now. What am I gonna do with this? So I thought it was cool. I thought the finale was hilarious. It did kind of feel like when they did bring Bruce, I was like, oh, I thought we weren't gonna do an end credits thing. But I do know why they did it. They have to keep the train moving. Um, but I loved it. I would say honestly, all the ones this year are pretty solid. I'd put it, neck and neck with Moon Knight, with Miss Marvel.
Yeah, that's about how I feel about this. I was really enjoying this from basically from start to finish. Like you said, they they took the more interesting approach with Jen's character. This isn't just it's not just that she's spending the entire series learning how to use her powers. They get all of that over and done with the first episode, whereas the rest of the series is more just like how how do I balance being She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters? And I think the best way that they really accomplished that was through the use of Daredevil. He came in at just the right point in the story where he did kind of lay out
Yeah.
um like his line that he gave to Jen was perfect. Like Jennifer Walters can help the law when society fails them, where
Yeah.
She-Hulk helps people where the law fails them.
And I absolutely love the fashion designer guy. As
Oh
soon as I
yeah.
saw him, I was like, oh, I know this guy. This is that. I was like, oh, bring Daredevil, please. So when he showed up, I was like, yeah. I thought that was great. Like the threads with the characters, even Titania, she's not in it a lot, but I thought the threads were there. Really coming full circle with her ex dates, Emil, like all of these things. I thought that was pretty funny.
Also, I love um, her coworkers at the law firm.
Yes,
Pug
yes.
Pug might be probably one of
The
the
name.
supporting characters of all time.
Him pretending to be an incel was pretty hilarious. I was like, he's not good at this. And that's when they had her feeding everything into the thing. And I thought her best friend, her assistant, she was so awesome. She's exactly what Jen needed to kind of put herself out there. And also I feel like a lot of legal drama, like I watched the Lincoln Lawyer recently on Netflix. They always have like their team of people, like who's in the office, like doing the research. Even on like Lucifer to, or like CSI, they always have like the people who are like actually helping you get it done, helping you solve the cases, all those things. So I thought she was the great sidekick.
Yeah. Nikki was great. I I love how she'll do just about anything for Jen, even even as far as like following her from her old law firm with Dennis, who you just like
Yeah.
he's exactly the character that we've all met before.
Yeah. I did think it made me very sad when the guy hired her, but he's like, I hired She-Hulk, not you. And I know that was like kind of the unraveling of all of her big problems this season, but I was like, really, man? Even in her office, she can't just be Jen. It's kind of messed up. But
Yeah, that was like the one thing of that episode that was like, oh, okay,
right.
so
I know.
so so you're the token hire, but
Yeah.
they do a good job of really skewering like
Yes.
online trolls
Oh yeah.
and like
That
the
was
the
perfect.
usual criticisms that we hear about like all of these Marvel shows. They do a good job making fun of both themselves and their audience in a way that's you know it's biting but not too aggressive.
Yeah, for sure.
And yet and yet the same people continue to
Oh,
prove
yeah.
to prove the show right.
Sadly, there was some backlash, which was pretty dumb. But they were just proving the writers right. I felt like the writers' room is really strong in this.
They were.
They got it.
Yeah, the episodes that Jessica Gao wrote, she's like the
Mhm.
head writer
Yeah.
of the series. um she knew exactly the right tone for the series.
Yeah. And I feel like when they showed the actual writers' room, I was like, this is hilarious right now. So I thought I was just that part was perfect. And then of course when the AI was named Kevin, I was like, okay, I get it. This is all making sense.
I I love Kevin, or um
Yeah.
I believe the term it stood for like um knowledge, um
Yeah.
not like, hold on, I'm gonna try to look this up. Keep talking.
Yeah, but no, I just thought especially even just the scenes leaning into it where they were like, you can't, no one sees him. I thought that was pretty funny. Kind of reminded me of Entourage, like a little bit at the beginning, but then it just turns into full on action, like, oh no, we're gonna beat you up. And I was like, why are you gonna try to beat up a Hulk? That's dumb. But you know, but I thought that was a great ad, and really showed like mixing the humor with the action, that it doesn't have to be, like a one-liner and like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It can be actually funny all the way out. Any chance you found it?
um Not yet.
It would definitely start with like knowledge, something
I think
like
the knowledge, like knowledge, enigma, something.
yeah,
Um I forgot exactly what it was, but that was that whole scene was just kind of brilliant. And my favorite thing about it was the fact that the robot even had the visor, um of the hat that Kevin Feige usually wears.
yeah. Well, apparently Kevin refused to do the voice. He was like, you can't use my voice, which I thought was pretty funny.
just that whole finale was
Is
perfect.
was that from the comic?
Um, I think that was something that specifically was something that um they made up for the show, but in general, Jennifer Walters has broken the fourth wall like in many
Mhm.
different ways, even going as far as like um yelling right um at like the writers, and even trying to leave her panels at some point. But this is like the closest they can get to sort of emulating that um emulating that style of fourth wall
Mhm.
break, but still keeping it within the medium.
That's funny. It was pretty clever.
And then I love how they have Matt Murdock coming back at after all of this conflict, um, just to have a nice family get together.
I did like that part. I mean, I don't mind Bruce's and her family showing up, but definitely the son reveal. I was like, oh gosh. But that's how they have to get their last hook in you to come back.
Yep, which probably means we're going to see more Hulk stuff in the future.
It's got to be something. I have my guesses, but because I was wondering if it was going to be in. Is it? I don't remember what the one with Nick Fury is going to be in. If that's going to be where he's going to pop up, but
Oh, Secret Invasion.
yeah, Secret Invasion. Because I mean, that's like where they do more of the stuff, or if it's going to be in the Marvels, like with Miss Marvel, like because she's always in space. Where is it? Where is it going to come?
Uh, that is a very good question. Well, we will have to wait and see on whatever they do with Bruce moving forward. But I do like that they are expanding his world ever so slowly. Even though I'm not quite sure what the deal is with Universal, and whether they still have the distribution rights to a Hulk movie. But if that's cleared up, maybe we can start to see him on the big screen again.
It's all about money. I'm sure they will eventually find a way. The same thing with Spider-Man as well. They just had
Uh,
to figure out the money with Sony, and here we are. We have more.
but for now, any other characters uh, that you thought any
I
other
mean,
characters that you have thoughts on?
no, I mean, I thought her family was awesome. You know, getting um her mom and her dad, I feel like that was the perfect kind of foil that keeps her kind of grounded. Like we said, Nikki, her assistant, is amazing. Um, I like Titania. I just thought it was funny. Um, Not sure how much she like truly adds to the scene, but I absolutely loved just seeing Tim Roth again. I just thought that whole yoga ashram like institute thing and his several wives, that whole line, I just thought that was hilarious.
I could tell that Tim Roth is having the time of his life,
Yeah.
playing a more jovial version of Emil Blonsky.
Yeah. And like I just like want more things for Tim Roth. More of him on my screen, please.
Same. One character we haven't really talked about is Todd Phelps, played by John Bass. He it he is he's one of those characters that you just love to hate.
Yeah. I mean, he played Despicable quite well. Once he started showing up again, I was like, what's with this dude? Like something's up. So it definitely made sense in the finale. He was the one behind that horrible hate group. Also, that he's so mad that she rejected him. I was like, oh my gosh, get over yourself. But he has the money and the resource, and the whole like when he called her just for a drink and he was talking about the Wakandan spear and how they kind of want it back. I'm like, can you help me with that? I was like, of course. What an idiot who would just buy that. And I'm like, who'd you buy it from? Probably someone that was in that maybe is in Wakanda forever, who knows? But I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. So in the organization that he's the head of, yeah, he calls himself Hulk King. Um,
Yeah.
it's called Intelligentsia. Now, in the comics, this is supposed to be like a group that has the greatest criminal minds. People like Leader, Modoc, Mad Thinker, Red Ghost, and Wizard, and even at one point Doctor Doom was a member. But in this show, they turned Intelligentsia into basically basically like Reddit and 4chan, but in the world of superheroes, which just
Yeah.
makes again
Yes.
it makes like the commentary just all the more obvious, and yet somehow they still miss the point.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I also just love like kind of the scene with Pug where like all of the different types of people who would be in that group coming together. I just thought that was because it's not very long, but you really get it. And it has a dramatic tension, of course. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, Pug in that scene, um he was great at being someone who's bad at improv. So he had to he basically needed Nikki to like push him into the pool and be like, you have to pretend that you fit in with these guys.
Yeah.
I just found that funny because one of the other roles that the actor Josh Segura was best known for was Adrian Chase on Arrow, aka
Oh,
Vigilante.
it was.
Yeah,
I didn't even remember that. Totally makes sense.
that I think that's why that casting was just perfect.
Yeah, he gets it.
So before we move on to our next topic, I got two questions. One, um, do you think we'll see She-Hulk again in the MCU? Um, and two, is it just going to be a season 2 of She-Hulk, or could we see her on the big screen or in an episode of Daredevil?
I'm hoping for Daredevil next immediately. But that's my personal opinion. But I think it's kind of like how Daredevil showed up in this, like as someone's lawyer. I could see her showing up as somebody's lawyer because she only represents like superheroes. So I definitely think there's plenty of room where she could be on the big screen and not like maybe I'm not saying she's in Miss Marvel or the Marvels, but she could be, I feel like that's something that they could work in there. Um I feel like I'm surprised they haven't announced a second season. I'm a little surprised they haven't actually. But maybe they're holding on to announcements for a little bit longer. Something to close the year out with more good news.
I feel like her showing up in Daredevil is almost an inevitability, but if she's in the Marvels, that would be great. But I have a feeling we might see her in Captain America: New World Order.
That would make most sense
Yeah.
because because I feel like a lot of the people the firm represents would be with like I can't remember Julia Dreyfus like the group, but I can see them getting into legal hot water, and might needing some help.
So, any final thoughts before we move on?
No, just if you're on the fence for She-Hulk, Give it 2 episodes. I don't think you'll regret it. It's a fun watch. And if you liked Orphan Black, I would hope you've already seen it. But if you're waiting on it, this is your cue to watch it now.
Yeah, if you were kind of holding off till the show is finished because you would prefer to binge the series, now's a good time to do that. I would say that She-Hulk is probably, if it's not my favorite Marvel show, it's definitely in my top three, right next to Miss Marvel and Loki, which, by the way, I'm very excited for Loki season two. So, yeah, I definitely recommend checking out She-Hulk if you haven't already. But now we're moving on to probably what was my most anticipated Marvel project of the year, Werewolf by Night. So, Teresa, I'm going to start with you. What did you think
Um,
of Marvel's first special presentation?
I thought it was pretty perfect. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even watch the full trailer. I was just like, oh, it's some werewolf thing, and Gil Garcia Bernal's in it. I'll probably watch it. And I did watch it right when it came out. I actually just watched it last week, like when I came home from work, and I was like, yeah, this is short. I want to watch this. This is great. And then once I turned it, once I started getting the story, I recognized some actresses, and I was like, that old lady's been in something. And I was like, this is going to be interesting. I love that it was like we were talking about before. It's such a short, it's one night, literally. So I thought that was pretty exciting. I liked the kind of race contest aspect. I did love, the stepmother and the daughter having that history and really seeing the bitterness fought literally on screen was hilarious. But I also think I love just seeing new characters that are in, the Marvel universe. Like every time, like that's what I love about Miss Marvel. It's just like, what are we going to see next? Like, character, because I'm not as versed into the comics as everyone else. So I loved it. I thought they did a pretty good job. I love that it was black and white. Till the very end. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, I think literally my only negative about this is that it was just a little bit too short. But for a first time director, I thought Giacchino did an excellent job creating this cool sort of like 1930s homage to the classic Universal monster movies. I thought like the atmosphere was really well done. I love that they even like emulated the sort of like old film grain style, even like having like cigarette burns in the corners every once in a while was cool. Even just like the story I thought was fascinating. That this is the first time we get to meet characters
Yeah.
like Jack Russell, Elsa Bloodstone, Man
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah,
Um,
Man Thing was awesome. I thought it was great that it was kind of like what the Tom Cruise mummy like wanted to be. Of like there's this, underground monster hunters and they have like resources and they hunt things at night and I'm like, great. Um don't 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 have a bad script. And this had a perfect script. Like every little detail of even just them waiting in the room, I just like the production design. I was like, where's that from? What monster is that they killed? I was just thinking about all the other stories behind the story that we were already at watching. And I definitely could I would have loved it to be longer, especially like once we get Ted, Man Thing like back. I was like, well, what are you guys doing next? Like, I want to see that. So I loved it. And I want to know what else is up next. Like, what's 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 this? It's everyone's dead now, but I'm sure she's gonna do something.
yeah, I'm very excited for any sort of future that these characters have. And if they don't, that's fine too. This was still like a nice little taste of what we could be seeing more of in the future. Um, like it's really cool that for a small little like side project, we get to dive deep into a very different corner of the Marvel universe where it's more of like the supernatural and like the horror aspect. And it's just kind of fun to see all of the other characters that Laura Donnelly and Gael Garcia Bernal get to play off of. I think one of my favorites was Kirk R. Thatcher as Joven. I think he's
Yes.
like, yeah, he's like one of the first guys that they run into, and he's just delightful.
I honestly I was really blown away by the stepmom because I've seen her in other stuff. I can't quite remember, but she's played like a good person and a bad person. But Harriet Sansom Harris, she's just like perfect. She's like one of those character actors that you would see on Justified and in this like at the same time. So I thought she was perfect.
I didn't realize this. She played Mrs. Jenkins in Memento.
That's what, yes. I knew I'd seen it before.
The actress in question is Harriet Sansom Harris.
Yeah, and
So
I'm trying to think of what I've seen her in that really made an impression on me. Um, oh, she was in the TV series that I'm sure not many people watched, The Lost Room. Um, and it was on Sci-Fi in like 2006, and it had the guy from 6 Feet Under, Peter Krause. And that was like spooky mystery kind of thing. So she's done sci-fi before.
oh, she was also in Desperate Housewives too.
Oh yeah, she's one of the neighbors. Love her. Love her getting more work.
Yeah, I think she has the right look and presence for this character.
Yeah.
That's the thing about a lot of Marvel's projects, that their casting is just impeccable every single time, barring like maybe like a few exceptions. They know exactly who they want for their movies, TV shows, whatever.
Yeah. But
Um,
no, I mean, I felt like it was like a whole kind of like mood and like vibe. So, um, you're not as caught up into plot. I was more caught in like the characters. And I thought that was refreshing.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. This is more so about like the craft and like the atmosphere created. Like even Man Thing, as far as I know, was pretty much all um practical effects. Like like you could, if you see any behind the scenes photos, there's an actual Man Thing on set, which I thought was pretty cool.
Amazing. Yeah, I want more practical effects all the time.
Or
Enjoy.
at least a blend of the two. The more something looks real, like actually there, easier it is to be invested in either the characters or just the locations that they're in.
Yeah. You can tell the interaction. But I still thought like She-Hulk did a great job, but she was there in the suit interacting with people.
Oh yeah, and they had body doubles too, who did something like a bit more of the stunt work. But yeah, for a first special, I thought they knocked it out of the park with Werewolf by Night.
Yes. More, please.
All right, so with that out of the way, we are now moving on to, I guess, kind of the main event, Black Adam. This has been a film that's, I want to say, at least 15 years in the making.
Really?
So, yeah, as far back as like 2007, Warner Brothers and New Line were like starting to get the wheels going on a Shazam movie. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson has expressed interest in playing Black Adam. It wasn't until 2014 when he was like officially announced to play
Yeah,
the
that's true.
character, but that's still 8 years ago
Yeah. He's a busy guy.
that he was, or that he continues to be.
Yeah, I was like, he still is.
So before we get into the movie itself, what did you think when you first heard that Johnson was going to play this character?
Um, I think I was like, that makes sense. I think I was like, because they are positioning Black Adam as kind of an anti-hero, kind of, a little bit of a villain. So I was like, I'm kind of interested in seeing if The Rock can play that because he's pretty much squeaky clean in most of his movies, especially like Jumanji and things like that. So I was very like, okay, let's see like The Rock get evil and like beat some people up. Um, I liked Shazam. So like when they announced it before, I hadn't really like put it together that they were like connected. But then I watched Shazam and I was like, oh, I want to know what happened before with these wizards. Like that's got me interested. And I knew The Rock was going to be in it. So that kind of like got me excited again once that movie came out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this was like perfect casting when I first heard it, but then I kind of thought about The Rock's career and remembered that back in his wrestling days, he did kind of play the heel. So for this movie, kind of leaning into sort of the darker aspects of this character, I thought worked really well for him. And yeah, Shazam is awesome. That is one of the best DC movies in recent memory that I've seen. Everything about how that one came together was just kind of perfect. And even like that little tease that we get in the film where the wizard describes their previous champion who ended up not being worthy, I was like, I wonder where they're going with this. And now we get to the movie itself, and he wasn't lying when he said that the hierarchy of the DC universe has changed. So now we get into the movie itself. Your initial thoughts on the film?
I thought it was, a nice way to spend your time in the theater. I was excited to see kind of a Middle Eastern country like setting where it's not just one set piece and then they go somewhere else. Like the whole thing is in Kandahar. I thought that was awesome. And I just like seeing lots of, different faces, more diverse cast. I thought that was like great. I was like, yeah, let's see like no more beating up New York and other things. Let's see what's up somewhere else. I know the Avengers kind of go around a little bit, but it's still very like, oh, we're going back to America, like still talking to the American government, that kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. I did like the Justice Society, even though I know some people were like, what is this? I'm always here for Pierce Brosnan of any form. He was one of my favorite Bonds because that was the Bond when I was in high school, GoldenEye. So I just thought it was Fate. I love Fate. The most of what I know from Fate is from Justice League cartoons. So to see it on the big screen, I thought that was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. I think out of all aside from Black Adam, Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate stole the show. But yeah, this movie is not necessarily my favorite out of the DC extended universe, but certainly a very good time. I mean, I saw this movie twice in theaters, both times in Dolby, so clearly I really enjoyed this one. What I liked the most about it was it felt like a live action version of a lot of the DC animated direct to video movies where like you'll have like characters who show up who, you know, general audiences may not know who they are right away, but they're like in support of the main character, so it's not like they need like long introductions. They can just kind of exist in the universe. I think that's the best approach, at least for this story, because that way, if audiences like these characters, they can demand more in the future. And yeah, I love how Dr. Fate was portrayed visually in the movie. You can tell they were kind of influenced by Doctor Strange a little bit, even though in the comics, Fate predates Strange by at least 20 years. But still, he looks great in the helmet and the cape and everything. And I love the relationship that he has with Hawkman. How they're like, two old friends who probably have known each other for ages. Then you have like the newbies of the group You've got Cyclone, played by Quintessa Swindell, and Noah Centineo plays Adam Smasher. And there's one cameo in this movie that completely threw me off. Henry Winkler plays Al's father or uncle, who was the original Adam Smasher. And was this something that you were expecting at all?
Absolutely not. I was like, what in the hell? Because, well, first of all, I was like, who's Adam Smasher? What's this? I'm confused. And then you just see him pop up on the screen and he's like, don't mess up that shoot. Also, don't die. I thought that was perfect. But I also like that I saw a meme that was like, there's a Henry cameo, and it's not the one that you think, and it used a picture of Madison from She-Hulk, and I thought that was hilarious.
That's great how there are two great Henry cameos in here. Um, but on a more serious note, I think I think something that I really liked about this was a this this took place in a location other than like um America. Like we're basically on foreign ground, and the main heroes of this movie are kind of against um like Americans, sort of like they're
Yeah,
yeah they're very
and
um
they're pro violence as
pro
well.
violence, but also anti imperialists.
Yes. So I thought it was an interesting choice. I mean, I didn't think it all landed perfectly necessarily, but I do like the commitment to try to comment on, real times, real things, real conflicts, real things that America may have done.
Yeah, like I won't say like this is like the best social
Yeah.
commentary that I've seen, but the fact that they actually put forth some effort is better than I can say for most movies in this genre.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, I just really like the more civilian focus in this movie. Like, sure, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy like was like really best known for having New York as basically another character in in like the trilogy, but here they they do go out of the way to sort of emphasize the people who live in Kondak, and how they kind of have their hopes set on a protector who will basically liberate them from the iron grip
Yes.
of inner gang, which is interesting because I don't recall them having this much power in the comics,
Yeah.
despite in the comics they have all their weapons and technology um from from Apocalypse. This time they're a little bit more militaristic,
Yes. 100%.
which is it's a different approach, but I respect what they're going for.
I like the kind of the weaving of the histories. It was giving me vibes of Moon Knight, and trying to figure out, you know, how everything comes together. So I thought that was really great. And I didn't mind the children acting. I was actually impressed by both the kid, like, in who revolted, who became Black Adam, the actual little kid version in those flashback scenes, but also the main character's son. I thought that was, I was very impressed by what they were bringing to the story.
um yeah, I like the kid, like the kid who played like the son, like Teth Adams' son, and I liked what's his name? Oh, Badi Sambangwi, who played Aman Tomez. He's the son of Sarah Shahi's character Adriana Tomez, who in the comics we know as um, the hero Isis. And
Oh,
I can
nice.
imagine the reason why they're not using that name in this movie.
Yes, probably. My cousin is actually named Isis, and I can understand that.
Still though, I like her role in the film. How she's kind of like she's kind of like an Indiana Jones type. Very headstrong. Um, she takes the initiative to both find and keep the crown of Sabak away away from Intergang, away from you know people who will use that power for evil. And I just generally like her relationship that she forms with Black Adam and the rest of the JSA.
And I like the new characters. I was very interested. I did feel like Noah's acting could use some work, but he wasn't in it very much. So it didn't bother me. But I kind of just like that they were bringing, new people along. It really injected some of the story, but from my analytical marketing hat, I feel like they put them in to, get the Gen Z audience.
Yeah, it does seem a bit transparent that that's exactly the reason why um like these two actors were chosen. But to be fair, Quintessa Swindell is like she probably gave like the best first impression, whereas Noah Centineo is not exactly leading man material. He was fine for this role, but I can't say he's necessarily as strong as like say Aldous Hodge or Pierce Brosnan or even Dwayne Johnson himself.
I feel like this is definitely a film that, you could go with your, teen, but also good for, just adults. And I was entertained. My friend was like, I don't know if it was good. I was like, it's no Green Lantern. Okay. It was good if we're comparing it to that.
Yeah, I think this is this is much better than Green Lantern. Um, Again, it's probably not like the top at the top of the list. Probably more upper middle. But I think I like more um what this sets up for the DC universe moving forward, because they do introduce a lot of great material. Again, the fact that you have the JSA in this universe, and the fact that Viola Davis is kind of building a larger presence in the world too. Like aside from just running Task Force X, she
Yeah.
also she also is kind of like she gets to call the shots for like everyone pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. She is making herself known. I do like her threat at the end. I think that's pretty interesting, what they're setting up there.
Yeah, basically she's like the evil version of Nick Fury.
Yes, absolutely. Don't turn your back on her.
Now speaking of evil, what did you think of the villain, Ishmael Gregor, or the the demon Sabak?
Yes. Um, I was, like when he died, I definitely was like, well, faked. I was like, that was too quick. I don't know what's going on in this water scene. And then I was like, oh, I gotcha. They're gonna just bring him. But I thought that was a little weird. I was like, why'd you put him in the water just to bring him out? Black Adam. But I thought it was good. I thought the way the demon looked and like during the fight scenes, I thought that was amazing. I thought that actor did really well, kind of playing that character and the reveal that like he came from that line of the king. Um, it reminded me a little bit of the mummy. Giving some mummy vibes, like even evil villain, more mummy too, than anything. So I thought that was it's a little predictable, but I mean I knew they needed to have a big bad somewhere.
Um, yeah, I agree. Conceptually, I love the idea of the character. Everything from his origin to um the guy's fake death in the beginning. Like you kind of knew that he was up to no good. My only complaint though is that um the design of Sabak, like once he's actually fully formed, um it didn't look all that great. um I would give like some benefit of the doubt that maybe maybe just like either the effects weren't like completely finished, or this was just this was just not a good design, and the VFX crew was just kind of doing the best that they could. I either way, like I understand exactly like what his role was for the movie. And he does work as like the final boss that they all have to team up to face. I just wish they did a little bit better job with the actual visual presentation.
I think they did the best with what they had. That's what I would say. I'm also more forgiving, I would say, overall on CGI stuff. Um, it was a little bit better than like say the end of Blade One. I mean, that was many years ago, but that CGI was very unfortunate for the final scene. But you know, it did the job.
Yeah, it's like again, it's not like the worst thing I've seen. Like even you mentioned the Mummy or the Mummy Returns.
Yeah, oh yes,
We have come a long way since then.
yes. Oh dear. Just thinking about those.
Um, but yeah, of course, because this is the movie that it is, you have both the JSA and eventually Black Adam teaming up to stop the big bad. And unfortunately, this does mean we lose our dear old Dr. Fate. What did you
Mhm.
think of his death scene?
Um, I thought it was great. Honestly, I was sad. Obviously, I don't want I don't want Dr. Fate to go, but I thought it was great. I liked how that he had to kind of sacrifice himself because of, you know, the prophecy and the way it's almost it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Doctor Strange and Endgame where he's like, there's only one way this is gonna work out. Sorry, somebody's gotta die. And it's gonna be me. And also he lived like he's the old guy, he lived the longest. It's we can make it. I want to know who's Dr. Fate next. That's like I was like, he's keeping the door open. Who's next? I definitely thought also the nice touch of Hawkman kind of using the powers temporarily because as almost like the helmet knew they needed to kind of finish this one task up before kind of disappearing into the mist. I thought it was cool.
I am looking forward to whatever DC does next with Doctor Fate, because according to the producers, we have not seen the last of him. Now that can mean a whole bunch of things. They're either they're either talking about like a prequel or a sequel that's sort of like this the search for the next Doctor
Mhm.
Fate.
I wonder if he can time travel. Can he time travel? Has that
Ah,
happened? I'm
hmm.
like, is that a thing?
I don't know if there's precedence for that, but I just really want to see more Doctor Fate. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
I also want to see more of Hawkman
yes.
because he was really good. Um, I I love the sort of rivalry that he has with Black Adam, and also the running gag that he has with Adam Smasher. Me and you, me and you.
Yes. I did think that was funny. I was like, he made Adam Smasher had a purpose. Comedic relief.
Yep. One of the other scenes I really liked, again, kind of going back to having the people be the focus, is when Amon gathers up the people of Kondak to kind of take out the um the skeleton zombies while Sabak is attacking.
Yes.
That scene I thought was really good.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. They were like using pipes, whatever they had to beat up these skeleton guys. I thought it was so good. And again, the kids were really inspiring me, in that moment. He went and inspired everyone, just like taking it back to the flashback with Black Adam's son. So I thought it was great.
Yeah. Now, speaking of which, that is probably one of the biggest deviations from the comic. Um,
Oh,
yeah, like generally the origin for Black Adam is um, like the Wizards choose Teth Adam to be their champion, but once they find out that like he's unworthy,
right.
um, they go back on their word, and that's what makes him you know filled with rage, and that's how he like sort of becomes more of like the villain. But I suppose in this movie, to sort of soften up his character
Yeah.
and give him like a more um a more empathetic uh backstory.
Hmm.
They make his son the champion, and as like a final um parting gift before he's sacrificed, he
Yeah. Very convenient.
he gives up his powers so that his father can live.
Very
But then
convenient.
the wizards still seal him up for 5,000 years. I wasn't sure at first like how connected this was going to be to Shazam, but seeing Jaimon Hansu in the movie
Mhm.
was a nice sort of confirmation that no, this is still in the same universe.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, wizards. Remember this? I want to say I haven't seen Shazam since the first time, but I remember quite a bunch. So it was pretty memorable. I thought Black Adam was pretty memorable as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is clearly a movie that audiences have really connected to, um, and not just because what we're about to talk about next, um, but just the fact that like there's something in this movie for everyone, whether you're just here to see Dwayne Johnson or you just happen to be a fan of the Justice Society of America, and and seeing Doctor Fate in live action is enough to drive you to the theater, or you just happen to be a fan of Noah Centineo, who
Yes.
you know doesn't have the biggest role in the film, but he's still in it enough that like you know, that's
He's
that's
there.
a that's a reason enough to see it. But I think like the one thing that almost everyone has been talking about, even before the movie officially came out, was the mid-credit scene in which we finally see the return of Henry Cavill's Superman.
Lord. I was like, well, how much did that cost? Just because he said so many times that he wasn't gonna come back. I was like, wow, he he's here. I thought it was a great moment. I want to see what happens when they fight.
Yeah. Um, Although one thing that has always like kind of given us hope is the fact that Henry Cavill, I don't think has ever said, um, "I will never come back to play Superman," but he did say the cape is in the closet. So
Yeah.
he was just waiting for the right opportunity, and
I mean, you can't
it
really
seemed
have DC without Batman and Superman. So
exactly. So this if this is just a small taste of what we're getting moving forward, then I am
I'm
excited to see where they go from here.
honestly is me way more excited than the end of Justice League. So this is great. Also, like it was more lighthearted. It's like, yeah, they might be about to fight, but it was like fun and like cheeky.
Yeah, he just wants to have a talk. That's it.
Yeah, like we'll see what happens. We don't have to fight, technically. But no, I was excited. I will say when I saw my screening, everyone kind of was like, well, and then like ran away almost after that scene. And I was like, wow. No one stayed for the credits except for me. And I was like, you don't care who worked on the movie? And they're like, nope, we're out.
I always stay through the credits. Like even if I know that there's nothing happening after, I like to stay there and sort of like take in what I saw. Maybe just listen to the music. Um, but I think both times I saw the movie, when Superman showed up in in that scene, the audience, the audience went wild, especially on the Thursday night. Like people saw Superman, and yeah, there were a lot of applause.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I feel like the morning is not the time for the applause. I gotta go back in the evening. Honestly, I would see Black Adam again. I mean, it was like, if one of my friends hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, I could do that. It could be fun. Also, like, I'll be less confused about the Justice Society. So maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I think benefits from like a crowd. Like I could probably watch this one at home easily, but
Yeah, like with friends.
I think just seeing it on the big screen is it makes the experience all the more special.
And like, who doesn't love The Rock, honestly? Even when he does a bad job, I'm like, it's still fine. Like, I watched Rampage. It was dumb, but I had fun in that theater. That was back when Movie Pass still existed. I was like, I didn't really pay for this. So I'll
Ah,
never
Movie Pass. Those were the days.
maybe they're back. Who knows? I got my AMC stubs. AMC did not pay me to say that, by the way. I truly just love having, more. Not that I even use it. Sometimes I don't even use it once a month. I just like having my options open. But no, I thought it was good, and I really like Sarah Shaw as well. So I'd watch it again for her.
Yeah, same. Um, so yeah, I think I can speak for the both of us when we say we enjoyed Black Adam. And it looks like, according to the box office, we're not the only ones.
Yeah, sounds like
As it brought
big
in
impression.
140 million worldwide and 67 million domestic, which is not bad for a solo film. This is the biggest opening weekend for Dwayne Johnson. If we're not counting any of the Fast and the Furious movies, this is like this is quite the milestone for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I like superhero rock.
Yeah, same. I'm really excited to see where they go from here. There are so many great opportunities for this universe moving forward. Like we kind of said at the top. Now that they have new leadership, um, and ones who can sort of like guide guide the direction in a more hands-on creative approach. I think we could be in for pretty exciting stuff moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's pretty open, and it's I think the one thing is about a movie where like it was just good and solid. Like if another one comes, like another Shazam's coming, but I'm not like chomping at the bit for it. I'm like when it comes, I'm like, yeah, I'm down for this. So it's good. Take your time. I'm ready.
Yeah. So that does it for this episode. Before we get out of here, Teresa, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on all social platforms at Teresa Electro, Teresa with no H.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser, on the Banana Meter. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You escaped, so do we. That'll do it for this episode of Capes. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.